Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Wreck-It Ralph. Now, Wreck-It Ralph is a 2012 computer animated comedy film that was the 50-second Disney animated feature film, and the premise of the film is meant to be about Wreck-It Ralph, the villain of the popular arcade game Fix-It Felix Jr. We see how Wreck-It Ralph feels more like an outcast, an outsider, and feels more like the boxman in the series, and wants to be remembered for something more than being the villain. We kind of see how the residents do treat him with contempt, and how Felix Jr. does try to be a friend to him, but it's kind of clear that he's only trying to please the residents to avoid any problems. So we kind of see how Wreck-It Ralph gets the idea, and after getting into the game Hero's Duty to get a medal, he ends up in the game Sugar Rush, where he helps one of the residents, Penelope, deal with King Candy so she can win a race. I would say the idea of a whole characters living inside and outside the game arcade community does work. As you can tell, they try to be like these friends, family members, and kind of resident area. And yeah, it's kind of interesting to see how they kind of act. I think it's interesting that, yeah, when you kind of got the sort of villain support group, we do see characters like Bison from Street Fighter. We also see Dr. Eggman from Sonic the Hedgehog. We also do see the Pac-Man ghost from Pac-Man and Kano from Mortal Kombat. And you can kind of tell they do understand that, yeah, they're villains, that's not going to change anything. But you can tell Wreck-It Ralph wants to prove to the world that he's more than just the bad guy. And I think the film has a bit of a message about trying to prove to the world that you can be something more than just the outcast, and that sometimes going the distance is trying to do the right things, but not taking shortcuts. And I would say, for the most part, I think, yeah, it's kind of obvious to who the villain's gonna be, and they don't really hide it too well. I also do kind of feel when you've got the main hero from the game Hero's Duty, Sergeant Tamrora, with Felix Jr., it does kind of feel a bit enforced. I kind of feel you could have had both the characters understanding that they both want to try and keep their games from glitching and not have any problems. I also feel, yeah, some of the voice cast isn't bad, but I think my only complaint is Sarah Silverman voicing the main character's friend, Penelope von Schertzwitz. I just think her voice doesn't really fit the character. I think they could have had basically Kate Higgins, or basically Tara Strong, or basically Grey Lyles. I just think her voice doesn't work, and yeah, there is just some things that won't fit with voice acting. It's kind of like having, say, Adam Sandler voice Batman. It's kind of like having Tony Hale voice He-Man, and it's kind of like having Nicolas Cage voice Eggman. There are just some things that don't go together, and they won't always go together. It's like what happened with Kevin Smith's He-Man series when he tried to add in Mark Hamill for Skeletor. It just didn't fit to what Skeletor would be. But I think it's even surprising that one thing they also do get right is actually bringing in Roger Craig Smith to voice Sonic the Hedgehog, and one that actually does work. And yeah, you can tell they even do as well bringing in a lot of old classic arcade games like Tapper, Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Pac-Man, and so many things. Old school classics that we played at the arcade games on holiday, or basically or basically stopping by to the kind of seaport centre areas. And I think Wreck-It Ralph really does work as a film, despite the obvious hints to who the villain's gonna be. So I think, in my opinion, Wreck-It Ralph is definitely enjoyable. So I think it deserves a thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.